Welcome to the Expert CRE Secrets podcast, where we believe most commercial real estate brokers and luxury realtors, they struggle with clarifying their passive income options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven brokerage strategy such as the eXp commercial model and purchasing investment real estate is the best way to grow your wealth and gain some freedom from the transaction treadmill. I'm your host, Brett Swarts. Each episode, I am joined by some of the best commercial real estate brokers, real estate agents, luxury realtors, and passive income wealth advisors in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex brokerage strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. We're also streaming live on capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. From time to time, we have certain guests, and depending on the guests, we'll focus on a particular part of the podcast. So this episode is going to be for the real estate agent, for the real estate broker, for anyone who's looking to gain some potential freedom from the day-to-day transaction treadmill. We're talking about exiting the real estate agent treadmill with eXp as the model, as the business, and as the exit plan. Please welcome to the show with me, Rich Tomasini. Rich, how are you, sir?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, absolutely. A pleasure to have you on the show. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
My current focus is recreation. My past has been all work. So both sides of the spectrum. I was a real estate appraiser for 8 years, back from 1999 till about 2006, just under 8 years. And then I moved to North Carolina from South Florida and became an agent with RE/MAX. And over the course of 2000 I think December of 2006 is when I got licensed. Until 2017, I sold a little over $500 million of real estate here in Lake Norman, 30 minutes north of Charlotte. 2017, I moved over to eXp Realty to leverage and build a team that would be virtual and be able to scale and compound and not be confined by geography or antiquated systems. And I have now an organization that I've been able to assemble that is about 1,600 agents. We add about 130 agents a month, and it's a residual income model. So anything that I do for our group is supplemental, but it's not all reliant upon my personal support. And I spend time with my 2 little boys and my wife, just to sum it up.
Phenomenal. Yeah, you're living the dream, brother, man. And so appreciate the opportunity to dive in on your story and taking some time to share this story with us. Before we dive into those particular things about, life before eXp and life after, and kind of, what you were able to do to help build that real estate business, I believe you've all been given certain gifts, Rich, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. So I want you to go back maybe to your high school days, maybe your college days, and I want to identify maybe 1 or 2 gifts or strengths. Some people call them superpowers. I believe they're God-given gifts given to us to be a blessing and help to others. So I'm curious, Rich, what are the 1 or 2 gifts that you believe you were given? And how does that help how you help and bless people today?
It's a good question. I don't ever think about myself as someone who has superpowers or these proclivities to being great at anything specifically. Maybe I'm a bit more of a relationship person, where relationships are more about quality over quantity. So I spend a bit more time on them, which has served me well in a service business like selling real estate, where I really looked after my clients with a lot of loyalty and consultation platform. And then as far as I think overall in high school and in college, my inability to play within the box sort of caused me no other option but to be self-employed. And being an entrepreneur and having the ability to work fluidly within my own rules or to my own beat has been very attractive. I mean, I've been self-employed my whole life. I'll be 44 in July. I've never been a W-2. So anyway, I guess, by misbehaving taught me that I should work for myself. And by focusing on the value that people offer each other has been good for being a listing agent, and then has translated very well toward being in the eXp revenue share portion. It's a very relationship-oriented system.
Absolutely love that. So the gifts of a relationship, building quality over quantity, building your business and your life and relationships with loyalty and consultation. And then I love this part. This is my favorite, inability to play within the box, right? I think that's most entrepreneurials journeys, right? At some point in their life, right? I was the kid in high school. The teachers did. I wasn't the favorite kid, right? I was the kid who's looking for ways to get the A or the B and the least amount of energy and time possible, unless it was something that I loved. Like if it was history or math, like I loved it, but certain subjects I'm just like, oh, I kind of loathed it, right? And looking back, the box was you got to get straight A's and all these things and get even the SAT scores and all that stuff. And I'm going, man, I just didn't have the passion for certain subjects. But then I found real estate and I had a passion for that, right? Then I found ways to defer tax and help people solve problems, have a passion for that. So I think we're in the business, Rich. I'm not actually even selling real estate or even selling a model of eXp or for us selling what's called the Deferred Sales Trust. We're actually in the business of solving problems, right? And so talk to us about how your consultation approach and your building relationships and even how you've helped other agents solve problems in their life has helped you grow your business.
I think the first part of that is identifying what the problems are. Most of us can scratch this out on a piece of paper in about 10 seconds, right? You became self-employed to be a real estate agent to have time and flexibility, in which you have neither. You got into being self-employed to be able to have no limit on your ceiling, but your lack of business education and leadership skills certainly puts a ceiling on your income because what you don't know boxes you in pretty tight. There's a lot of pitfalls in selling real estate, and I think one thing that our model at eXp does is it solves problems from the actual issue, not the symptoms. And what I overlay on top of that is I am very good at worrying about other people. I mean, probably not the best quality for myself, but I want people to succeed. And I don't ask for my agents to do things that they don't want to do. I'm pretty good at finding out what their bandwidth or their tolerance is in certain avenues, and we work on one or two things. So, when it came down to clients, I was pretty good at assessing a game plan, setting expectations, competently guiding them through that process, and having some fun while we were doing it. And as that transitioned into being an entrepreneur, not a technician, I don't think the algorithm or the recipe is all that different. People want to trust you. You have to be trustworthy. I think that you have to be accessible and come through, and you have to want what's best for them and push them just a little further than what might be comfortable for either of you. And I think that when you have enough relationship points that you guys are solid in the relationship, you can stretch it a little further. And I think that's where all the fun is, for both parties.
So much wisdom there. I think one of your gifts is in the relationship part to get a little bit more on dive on that is the EQ, right? The
Mhm.
emotional intelligence and the ability you said to ID the next biggest challenge or the next biggest thing for someone to overcome, and then really just kind of encouraging them, setting a game plan, and being like, hey, you can do this, right? I'll help you get there. Whether that be for your client on when you were selling, or whether
Sure.
that be for your real estate team. Is that a fair summary, Rich?
Yeah, 100%. I think, frankly, the way that you do your life personally and professionally is either going to be attractive to the majority of people or the minority of people. And if it's the minority, know your audience and go after them. And if it's for the majority of people, if you're well liked and you're honest, you can do really well in real estate and learn the rest as you go. The problem is that most people aren't self-aware to know that they don't fall into that category. So, and nobody else wants to tell them that. That's a burden. So we have a lot of people that are in this business that chase dollars, that don't care about people, or that are lazy, or looking for a boss, or playing the victim card, and just basic things that we suffer from as human beings. And in this business, it's not very forgiving to those. So essentially, if you're doing life with honor and facing problems, straight ahead, and being honest where you don't know the answers, I think you do very well pretty much anywhere. It's
I
not
agree.
really, yeah, it's not a complicated process,
Yeah.
although it is an unusual set of skills that people seem to have these days
Mhm.
from time to time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Very well said. So now let's dive into the EXP part of it,
sure.
okay, and really kind of dissect this for those who are either listening for the first time, or those agents that are on the fence, or those agents that are still I call them believers versus non-believers. In full disclosure, I'm a believer. I'm a part of EXP. I started at Marcus and Millichap in 2006, commercial real estate brokerage of the core, multifamily. And then I dismissed it 5 years ago because I didn't underwrite the model and I didn't actually meet with the leadership, right? I just kind of
Hmm.
heard about it and kind of said, ha. But now, once I underwrote the model and looked at this, it's transformational in a lot of ways. And I want to really dive on a rich part of things. But you said something that was really interesting. You said eXp creates either an environment or a foundation that helps to fundamentally solve the actual issues that agents are facing, right? Not just the
Yeah.
symptoms. So can you dive into that a little bit more, and then we'll
Yeah.
dive into your eXp story?
Yeah, 100%. So, it's pretty much the symptoms of real estate is that I need a closing coordinator. I need buyer's agents. I need better time management. And the fact of the matter is that this is a treadmill you can't get off, right? You're making too much money if you're successful at this to ever get off it. You end up rewarding yourself with a nicer house and fancier cars, and further entrap yourself into the burden of bills that keep stacking up. We don't save enough money when we're on a run like we've been since 2013 or 14. We've been on a positive cycle of, I don't know, 10, 11-year cycle. We're breaking records right now. People forget the pain that they dealt with in 2007, 8, 9. So it's an easy place to lose perspective and lose track of the long term. And what eXp does is it creates sort of a 3-lane highway for us to operate in real estate. You have lane 1, which is selling real estate, but we solve a lot of the problems like healthcare, iBuyer programs, technology, referral programs through our workplace, instant support that's virtual through our cloud campus and our 600 employees, technology, marketing, flyers, websites, squeeze pages, the whole gamut. You have all of that in lane 1, but you also have a lane 2 and a lane 3 to help aid you when you get burnt out, or you go through a downtime, or you need a mental health break, or anything, a crisis. And lane 2 is earning shares of stock at a company that's gone from $2.87 on the pink sheets to trading at $40 a share today after the split. So my wife and I have been able to build a portfolio that's 7 figures by doing what I did for the 23 years before that for trophies. So we have lane 2, and then the lane 3 is the ability to assemble talent, build your culture, and work together. So essentially, I brought over 51 agents to this brokerage, most of them within the first 18 months of being here. And some of them, the minority, have repeated that same opportunity. They seize those moments. And now I have almost 1,600 agents, and we're adding more agents per month than my entire former brokerage had over 20-something years of being in the business. So when you look at, does this solve problems? Yeah. If there's 3 ways to get paid for what we used to do all the time for one source of payment, I think that you can get there 3 times as fast.
Perfect. So now let's dive into your actual story, right? So give us first time you heard about eXp, what your first
Okay.
response was to it, and maybe it was, hey, you're a believer right away, and you moved over, you saw it. Maybe there was some skepticism. What were the biggest challenges or hurdles for you? A very successful real estate professional, right? Going to eXp. Tell us life before, and then we'll go during and after.
Yeah, so I was very skeptical because I grew up in South Florida, so comes inherently with the territory. I think I found out about eXp probably in June of 2017. I was doing about $43 million of business that year. I was all gray haired. I had a 1-year-old. I started being a father late. I have 2 little boys now, one that's almost 5 and one that's 2. And I was feeling like I was going to miss all of his childhood if I continued to operate at the pace, the frantic, like bizarre pace that I was operating at. So I decided in about 10 minutes, like I had nothing to lose. So I joined on August 4th. I brought over about 45 listings. We were about 3,800 agents at eXp. We were only open in 38 states. It was sort of a startup still, even at that period of time. And I started to address real issues that other agents were having. Like, listen, guys, how do we get out of this? We know how to get into trouble. How do we get out of it? And how do we get out of it without divorcing the income and the stability that we've been able to provide by getting into the circus to start with? And I was, I guess, articulate enough to explain this to enough agents to gather some momentum and steam. The good news about being a productive agent is I knew all of the big players, and I only went after the best agents. So that was very helpful for me because every agent that I came over was sort of a legend in their own right. So their influence then superseded mine to where they brought agents over. I was not the most popular guy. I don't hang out with realtors. I don't go to big events. Anytime I get on an airplane, it's because I'm going to travel for fun. So I was sort of a black sheep of a success story at eXp. So if I can do it, then that means any personality type or mindset could be successful if you just do the micro stuff, every day initially.
Excellent. So you were skeptical at first, but you looked at it, you underwrote it, and you really asked the question, how do we get out of this collectively, not just you, working this
Yeah.
frantic pace, seeing your baby, maybe first baby boy, right? And you're going, oh my gosh, like I don't want to miss this. And so that went from taking action and saying, what's the worst that can happen? And by the way, it's similar to what I thought too. I was like, well, the worst thing that could happen is I just go back to what I was doing before. Like try this for a year. And it's not this good to be true, right? I always say, no, it's this good to be true. Like it's exceeding my expectations every step of the way with the leadership, with the culture, with the technology, with the people I met. I went to my first eXp event in Cabo just a few months ago.
Yeah,
And it
Press.
was phenomenal, right? And I'm going, wait, every step of the way it exceeds my expectations. So for those who
Yeah.
are listening out there right now, I'm going to ask Rich this question as well. I want to encourage you. I want to challenge you to what's the worst that can happen? You come over for 6 or 12 months and it's all BS or it doesn't work out or it's not what you thought. Go back to where you're at, right? But in this scenario, literally every step of the way with the people, with the culture, with the leadership, with the technology, because what? It's agent owned, right? So we're in this together. Even Rich being on the show right now, he doesn't need to be on the show. He doesn't need to work ever again. But Rich, talk about that camaraderie, that connection, that culture, which is like nothing I've experienced before in any industry. So
No,
how have you experienced that as well?
same exact way that you have. Everything is mind blowing. If you're a skeptic on EXP, I understand, but this company is revolutionary. I buy shares of stock out of my pocket because I believe I'm so bullish on this stock. I can't even tell you. So the fact of the matter is we're at 55,000 agents. We'll be at 100,000 agents at the end of the year, and revenue and agent count are parallel hockey sticks for us, right? So if you're a skeptic on EXP, ask yourself the question, am I renting my career or do I have equity in my brokerage? Because you're spending way too many hours and years there to not know the answer to that. If it's not your name on the sign, you are the retirement plan for somebody else. You have nothing to lose coming over here. I mean, you're going to earn stock whether you like it or not, whether you believe in it or not, right? You're going to have technology that will spin your head 360 because it's light years away from what you have now. And then if you have influence and the ability to be a connector and to if you're a good ambassador for the company and you love it, then you have this third lane, which very few of us take advantage of, and it's the revenue share lane. And the way that I looked at it was I've had 13 people screenshot me their retire 7-figure stock statements or their revenue share in excess. I can't talk about revenue share numbers. I wish I could because I'm dying to vomit that all over you. When people say that this doesn't work, I make more money than those people do in a year, in a month, right? And it's not because I'm a magical agent. It's because I'm on the escalator and they're on the staircase. And what they could look like on an escalator is for them to daydream about. But the fact of the matter is that every event is collaborative like no other company has ever been. Every event is done to the nines. Every move they make is strategic and there's benefit to every agent. I mean, this company, the Department of Defense is using our technology. I mean, it's a bulletproof system. And if COVID didn't exacerbate the things that we've been preaching for, now at this point, what, 12 or 13 years the company's been in formation, then I don't know what is. I mean, we doubled an agent count and in the top three big, I think we're number 3 or 4 in the country as far as transactions, but everybody in front of us either at best stayed the same agent count or lost agents net.
Thank you, Rich, for sharing that.
So
And
yeah.
I second and I agree with all of that. And again, challenge every agent out there who's listening to this, or every broker, even if you have your own brokerage. And maybe that's something we can dive into, Rich. Like some people say,
Let's do
well,
it.
I I want to buy this other brokerage, or I'm in succession to this other brokerage. Right? I actually have a good friend of mine. We're in mastermind together, and I'm recruiting him to eXp. And he's like, hey, if I ever come, I'll come. But I've got the guy who mentored me and coached me, and I go, hey, I know you're loyal to him. I get that, and I might be buying that from him. And I'm going, but wouldn't it be better if an entire thing came over? Wouldn't that actually be better for him as well? Because if you think about it, the exit plan for him is sell it to you, you take over. But what if you could have a recurring income stream over a period of time, and you both could have it? So speak to the person who's saying, "Oh, I might be buying another brokerage," right? And speak to the broker who's saying, "Oh, I already have my own thing going. Why would I join eXp?"
Yeah. So the hardest part of this whole conversation is we have to take their ego and pull it out of them and place it on the table for 30 minutes. Very challenging process there. One of the things that I think would be very important is you can't scale and compound as an independent brokerage owner like you can at eXp. I have agents in 10 countries right now. There's no way to grow in the way that we grow. Number two, E&O insurance, liability, all these antiquated expenses, having to buy the tech lead generation. You got to look at your attrition. All of these type of components are huge issues for most indies. If you look at their agent, most indies, the person who's going to buy the company or the person who's selling it are still in production. Then you got to go hire a recruiter. You got to work off a territory that is within driving distance from your office. You're playing in the kiddie pool. And that's not meant to be really, honestly, a critique, because that was the only way that we've ever been able to do this for the length of this industry. But now at eXp, you can compound. So I have agents that are in Texas and California and New York that brought over hundreds of agents in other states. I have agents in 46 states. I haven't traveled to 46 states in my lifetime. Where else can you compound? You can't scale a hero, and it's very hard to sell these boutiques. Like, to me, Zillow is the elephant in the room. I don't know how these indies are going to be able to deal with Zillow. One thing about eXp that's so awesome is that when we bought Showcase, it gave us an IDX to all 460 plus MLSs in the country. So we could create a public interface for the retail to use that's an alternative to Zillow and combat them. There's all kinds of industry things coming down the pipeline. There's all kinds of agent retention issues. There is all kinds of liability stress and hours that are involved in brokerages that are solved by eXp doing most of that heavy lift for you. The only thing that you have to do is give up autonomy on MLS, but you don't have to give up autonomy in your branding or your market presence or your niche of business. It's just solely on the MLS, it says eXp Realty, but your business is powered through eXp from the public's eye. So I brought over a ton of brokerage owners to eXp. That's how I've been able to get my group kind of, on the beginning of being robust in size. And it's because brokerage owners have the same problem. It's very hard to sell them. It's very hard to keep your best agents. At eXp, if I have an agent that's on my team that becomes a rock star, they can stay with eXp, get off my team, icon here, and be at the exact same commission splits that I'm at with 23 years in a business. The margin that I was making on my team was at the expense of their opportunity. And here, that just isn't true.
I love the way you say it. The margin, say that one more time. The margin that I was making off my team is at the expense of their opportunity, right?
Sure.
Their opportunity to explode their business, right? Because exactly right. At Marcus and Millichap, right, I would train my competition, right? I was recruiting. I was a big cheerleader for Marcus and Millichap, and they're a great company. And their training and their leadership was phenomenal. But I felt like the model was always stacked against us, and that Marcus was always getting the billions, and we were working with the hundreds of thousands. Versus I see eXp, like they're making us millionaires, and they're still growing and they're still getting plenty. But it's that we're in it together, and instead of training my competition to either go to the cubicle next to me after we do a couple deals together, Marcus gets paid. The worst is they go to CB Richard Ellis, they go to Sperry Van Ness, they go to Cushman Wakefield, and you're like, wait, I just gave this guy all my secrets, and now he's my direct competition. Like,
100%.
And you can't necessarily blame the guy either, because he got a better deal and a better offer for somebody else. And we are independent contractors. We were not salary. We were not benefits. We weren't W-2 employees. And he also wants to be more entrepreneurial. So I feel like the Rubik's Cube of being entrepreneurial, loyalty, teamwork, 100% collaboration they've solved that. eXp has solved that, and they've already
Solved.
proven it with the residential model. And now commercial just opened up, and I'm like ecstatic because that's part of my objection 5 years ago. To be honest, it was like,
Yeah.
it's residential, I'm commercial, right?
Mhm.
And so now it's like there's no excuse. We literally have an entire commercial focus, but the same model, right? And same ability to get revenue sharing. So can you speak to maybe just the opportunity for eXp commercial agents
Oh God.
who are
Yeah.
not who have not even heard of this, and what you would say if it was the beginning of eXp residential?
Yeah, 100%. So I wish I would have got in sooner. I just was exposed to it when I was exposed to it. I was a real estate appraiser, so we dealt with a lot of multi-units, rent schedules, operating income statements. And what I find that commercial agents are masters at is that they're logical numbers people, right? If it makes sense. The residential side of the business is all emotional. Do you love this wallpaper, this kitchen? Do you need a house? Is this neighborhood what you dreamed of? It's always been too touchy-feely for me to feel comfortable. I love commercial agents because it makes perfect sense. The cap rate is this, the absorption rate is this, the vacancy is this. eXp against any other company.
Ooh.
Oh, did I lose you? Did I lose you? Hey, Brett. Bro, I'm on a podcast right now. I got to move this thing real quick. Yeah. No, it's not the visual, it's the sound. Sorry. No, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's a real estate office. Just letting you know. Our scanner wasn't junk. I know, buddy. I just scanned that 8 times. I know.
I'm back.
Hey,
We're back, Rich.
okay.
I'm sorry. I think it wasn't you. I think it was actually our system. We had a little station identification there for a little edit there. So we were just saying. Last I heard you was commercial real estate people. The more logical underwriting, look at the numbers versus the emotion. So walk us through that.
Yeah. So, like for example, from a production standpoint, I was an icon agent, which means that the company gifted every penny of commission that I paid to eXp back to me in stock. So I virtually worked here for 100%. Right. So over the course of 10 years, that's $160,000 of gifted stock. And over the course of 3.5 years, it's gone up 2,200% since I've been here. So when I look at this side by side, it's a no brainer. Commercial agents seem to have a propensity for being able to do that much faster than residential agents. Something else that you said earlier on that really resonated is loyalty. Are you going to be loyal to your mentor? Yes. More loyal to your mentor than your wife or your husband or your sanity or your old age, your future. If you say yes to that, you might have boundary line problems. The fact of the matter is that it's called business because we're out there taking time away from our personal life to get this done just to play in the game of life, right? The least amount of work I can do to play the most is the key. And if you're a workaholic, well, then you're going to love it here because there's more money to be made if you're willing to put more time into it. So from a commercial element, we're very small. What do we have? You probably know better than I do. 1,500 commercial agents out of 55,000, maybe 2,000 commercial agents.
Yeah.
We're in diapers. So if I could have been at eXp when we had 1,500 residential agents so I could control the narrative and get the word across, I would have 10 times the agent count that I have now. I mean, I was lucky. I came over here when we had 3,800 agents or so. So I was able to control the narrative in my local area. But when it comes down to the commercial side, I think people don't even consider us a commercial brokerage because we haven't totally formatted the deal with LoopNet and CoStar. We're still in motion, but we've got a lot of the pieces settled in. And as soon as they add the revenue share element to commercial and really make it a commercial twin of the residential market, despite a few differences, I think every commercial brokerage across the world will be here.
Exactly right. That's the vision we have here, by the way, at eXp Commercial, as well as the Expert CRE Secrets podcast. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to speak at some of the eXp Commercial events and be a part of kind of the initial, let's say, 20 or 30 inner circle advisory team for the brokerage. But it is about giving back, and it is about giving a space for brokers who otherwise don't want all the broker liability, right? Don't have maybe even the capital to launch their own brokerage, and are looking to still maintain collaboration and culture and sharing. Like it's again, like nothing I've seen before. And I was at, again, one of the top companies in the world for commercial real estate brokers at Marcus Millichap. And by the way, the Jim Wong, who's the president of eXp Commercial, he's a former Marcus Millichap agent.
Yeah.
And then he launched a Sperry, or he
Van
helped
Ness,
build Sperry
yeah.
Van Ness global affiliates and BRC advisors to 150 advisors, $2 billion in commercial sales every year. Big company. He's done really well, and he's phenomenal. And with that type of leadership and building the type of culture and bringing the best from each company, you're right. We're still in diapers, but we're growing really fast, and we're looking to make a big splash here in the future.
Yeah, I mean, think about the people that are running this company. Glenn Sanford, 54. He's the brightest guy in the room, period. He's iterating technology constantly, right? Jeff on the financial side, Dave Kennord and Stacy Onan as co-presidents, James Wong in the commercial lead, Randy Miles. When you're talking about the people that are running this company, I mean, my God, I'd bet on us versus Apple. The closer you get to the leadership of this company, the more bullish you get on the stock and the overall vision of the company. I think a lot of realtors that are working on the ground level are like, oh, my broker created a narrative for eXp and I'm not going to do any due diligence, so I'll just adopt theirs. I get it. I think I'm guilty of doing that probably across the board in life, right? But when you start investigating it, people are passionately against eXp, our competitors, and that's for a reason. They don't know how to combat us. Keller Williams can't shave off their franchise model and cut their $40,000 leases. Compass can't grow without writing checks, right? We're growing grassroots organically from one agent at a time to another, and we're breaking every record on the board, and we're taking 50% of the revenue of this company and we're cycling it back to the agents. Like, I mean, this is if you're in the giving spirit, if you're a servant leader, this is the place where you lead because the company's doing it at the highest level back to us. So
100%. And onto that point too, what I love about the leadership is their focus is not the client. Their focus is the agent.
The realtor.
It's the realtor. It's us. It's the commercial broker. It's the real estate agent, real estate broker. That's the first thing. And their philosophy is if we take care of the real estate agent, they will take care of the client, right? And our business will grow. And that's the focus. That's the focus is how do we, with healthcare, with revenue share, with stock, with ownership, with collaboration, with technology, with the tools, right? With making it a place where you can grow a business. And I call it the rich broker, poor broker, right? Right. And rich can be, financially, but it can also be, your lifestyle and what you're doing. And there's a quadrant. And this guy named Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Cash Flow Quadrant. And you have to ask yourself, what side of the quadrant are you on as a broker, right? Are you self-employed? Are you a W-2? Are you a business owner? And are you an investor, which is the right side of the quadrant, where most agents, like Rich said, you're renting and you are in the self-employed and building someone else's dream, someone else's business, where if you get on the right side with eXp, you become a business owner, right? And a part of eXp and ability to be an investor and start to get income from, again, coaching and training and perhaps doing things you've always already done. But they share the revenue. So all that being said, we're running out of time, Rich. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Let's go.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you make sure to tell yourself to do?
Be patient. Micro daily habits to achieve large things versus trying to get it done in a few months and burning out.
Second question, what's the number one book you've recommended or to gift for the most in the past year?
Die with Zero.
Third question, what's your favorite leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
The Law of the Lid by John Maxwell. Presenting yourself as an example of a leader and giving margin for your people to aspire to raise themselves. Creating margin.
Love that. What's the number one challenge facing real estate agents?
Themselves.
Their ego, right? What are you most curious about?
What my two boys end up being like as men, probably.
How old are they?
Almost 5 and 2. I'm a late starter.
Have they got any sports going? What's the deal?
Yeah, my son just played his first season of t-ball and he killed it. Hit the ball great, fielded the ball well, and my 2-year-old is just a fan. He's not involved in anything yet.
It's all good. It's a dream,
Yeah.
brother, man. I got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old,
Oh, you
a
understand.
boy and a girl there, and then I had a couple other girls above that. But it's a cool age, right? When they're
Oh yeah.
it's the curiosity, the energy, it's the nonstop,
It's
just
the
joy of
best.
life. It's the best. Yep.
Yeah.
Second to last question. What are you most curious about right now?
Um, I'm not really living in the future, and I'm certainly not living in the past. This is about as present as I've been. I'm not ultra curious about anything right now, as much as I'm here and I'm taking it in, and I'm not doing 9 hours of screen time. I'm learning how to relax. So maybe I'm curious to see if I achieve that or if I just attempt it. Yeah.
Hey, I love it. Great answer. Last question. After all your success, Rich, being a rock star real estate agent, selling, millions and millions and millions of dollars with your team, moving over to eXp, having your family, your kids, all the success, achieving the completely passive lifestyle, right? How do you stay centered in your values, and how do you stay encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
Good question. I'm naturally pretty ambitious, but I don't care to ever be number one at eXp, and I don't think I could ever achieve that. I think I'm in the top 30 at a 55,000 in revenue share, but number one is a commitment that I can't make, or a talent that I don't have, probably a combination. So I like to compete within the context of 7 or 8 hours of working time per week. So I'm ambitious during those times, and then I shut it off. As far as staying rooted, I really came upon making a reasonably large amount of money, probably in my late 30s and early 40s. So we had plenty of time for values to set in. And then I had little kids right at the part where any kind of bad qualities that I would have would be amplified by the wealth that we've been able to build. So that was a grounding element. But most importantly, I probably don't think that I'm very special, or I made all this money because I have all this infinite wisdom. I feel fortunate to be at the right place, to have been doing the right thing, to be making sure that my people succeed and therefore I succeed. And I don't really overthink it. So I don't have to walk around with this chip on my shoulder like we created everything. What I'm trying to do is help people get out of it for free. I don't care who they sign up at eXp. Just come over.
100%. Rich, it's been
Uh,
more than a pleasure. I want to encourage you to keep using the gifts you've been given, to think outside the box,
Thank you.
to build loyalty and consultation through your relationship building, and to have the courage to help others do the same. So for those who want to get in touch with Rich, he didn't really take calls, but you might want to find him somewhere. He doesn't really take emails. Doesn't even really have a website going right now, and that's the beauty of
No.
eXp. But it is Rich Tomasini, and perhaps look his name up and search out to him. And if you are encouraged or motivated, if you're not after this episode, you probably listened to the wrong podcast. But if you are, you can reach out to Rich or me to learn more about eXp. And to learn about how the opportunity can be for you and your family and your future and your business. We would love the opportunity to help you out. That being said, please rate, review, subscribe. We want to thank you for being a part of the listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, and also the Expert CRE Secrets podcast, where we believe most real estate agents and brokers, luxury agents, they struggle with clarifying their passive income options. Having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven brokerage strategy such as the eXp commercial model or residential model is the best way for you to build your real estate business and get out of the transaction treadmill. Please go to expertcrsecrets.com to learn more about that. Thanks, everybody. Please share this with a realtor who needs